This is Keith Clark of the iDigital Medium website. Today's tutorial is on live audio filtering. Most of you that are watching this have heard of EVP, and you are familiar with the fact that it is usually a couple of words or a short phrase. What I'm going to show you today may change the way that you think and your perception of what it's like to communicate with spirit, people on the other side using technology. The reason why I'm creating this tutorial is because we are currently streaming live sound, audio, and video on the iDigital Medium website. We are doing that from a sound source. In this case, it's a UHF portable TV where there are no broadcast stations currently. There's nothing but a white static. And so we take that, we filter it live, and the end result is what you see in front of you. Let's begin. First thing I would like to show you are the software programs that I'm currently using. You can use whatever you like. There are many different ways to do this. The essence of it is we use any program that can host a VST. In this case, the program is called VSTHost, 32-bit version. I've used the 64-bit version and I had error problems with it. It crashed. So the 32-bit version is fine. It's free. It's been around a long time. We also have an EQ, which is free. If you go on the internet and you search for free VST plugins, you will find lots. You'll be busy for a while. Bias SoundSoap is not free. That's actually a purchase, and they have a newer version. I will give this demonstration with the older version that I have. These two products come as part of a package from iZotope. We're going to take these three plugins and we're going to plop them into VSTHost and run it. When you download VSTHost, it will appear as a folder. It's a standalone executable that runs from inside of this folder. It writes everything in this folder. So if you take this before you start and you make multiple copies, yes, you can run multiple instances of the software all at the same time. For now, let's just make a shortcut to the desktop. We're going to start moving a little faster now. Open VSTHost. Click on OK. First thing we want to do is tell the program, where's the sound coming in? Where's the sound going out? We see we have our input on the left, and we see that we have our output on the right. Click on Devices and go to Wave. For the input port, you'll want to choose wherever the sound's coming in. It does not necessarily have to be a microphone or line input, but in my case it is. I have a radio plugged into my Creative Sound Blaster line in port on my sound card. For the output, you will probably choose speakers. In my case, I'm going to choose something different, which is what the next tutorial will be. Virtual audio cable. Click on OK. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to tell the program where are the VST plugin files that I would like to add. Click on File. Click on Set Plugin Path. Click on the button that should say Browse. Choose the VST plugins folder that I've created on the desktop. Click OK. As soon as I click on OK, you will see it scanning here in the lower left-hand corner of the screen. When I click on File, Plugins, you will now see the plugins loaded into the program. This only needs to be done once. To show you what they look like on the desktop, when you install a VST software, it will always ask you, where do you want to put the VST plugin? It's best to put them all in the same folder if you can. That way you will only have to scan one folder. It makes things a lot simpler and easy. Now we're going to start adding our filters and our VST plugins. Click on File, click on Plugins, add Bias SoundSoap, drag it. Click on File, next one we're going to add is Declipper. Notice it chained this after the input, just like it did by a sound soap. We don't want that. Click on the chain icon, uncheck, check. For the output, we don't want it connected to anything just yet. Next, we're going to add denoiser. For denoiser, do the same. Tell it you want to come after the third plugin in the chain. We can take the output off because we're not done with the last one yet. Now we're going to add bias sound soap one more time. Do the same thing. Since we're creating a chain, each one of these should only show being connected to one other device. Now we're going to add an EQ just for volume levels. Next thing we will do is click on the little button that looks like a knob. This will show us the graphical interface. Start to drag them to where you want them. I put them in a logical order according to the flow of the sound, especially if you're OCD. I'm sure that there is a better way to add these chains up here without clicking on each item, but I don't read manuals. So, all right, now we have everything up in front of us. I'm going to demonstrate. First, I'm going to allow you to hear the static that is currently coming from the radio plugged into my computer sound card. In order to do that, I need to turn my microphone off because I don't have a fancy USB headset. Now please go ahead and observe as I begin to show you how to use the filters. And that was a demonstration. That is how you use the program VSTHost with filters. As you could hear, what started out as static turned into something that we could begin to recognize. A couple things I'd like to share with you. When you're filtering using this type of technique, it's best used with a constant type of source where you can't hear whatever it is. I wouldn't use filtering on, for example, an EVP recording. I wouldn't use it on music. I wouldn't use it on voice that's already existing, because all you would do is make it muddier. I recommend, at least it's been my experience so far, that our friends in spirit have the ability to work with amplitude modulated or AM type radio. So whether it be an AM radio, whether it be shortwave, UHF, VHF, things of that nature, they're able to burst the energy. This type of technique would not be best used, for example, with ghost boxes, because when you listen to a ghost box, you're already listening to human voice. You wouldn't want to take that voice that's already clear and filter it, and it would just become muddy. So for those of you that would like to try this technique, I recommend that you try radio. My job is to inspire. And it takes some patience, and most of you will not be able to understand a lot of what's coming through the radio. And it's something that we're learning, something that we're developing. I've been using this technique now since 2007, and I can tell you that it will change the way that you think about spirit. Instead of a couple words that we just happen to hear that just rises over the noise threshold, and that's what we hear, we actually hear a constant stream of consciousness. If you work with radio and you use this process, you will hear that spirit is speaking non-stop. Not just one voice, many voices. If you develop a connection with someone in spirit, you may hear one voice stronger than the rest. Also, when you hear them speaking, they will not always just be talking to you. In fact, only about 20% is them speaking directly to you. The rest is them talking amongst themselves. It's like putting your ear to a conference room that's next door and listening to see. And as you can hear everybody talk, or perhaps in a busy restaurant. Once in a while, you'll catch a couple words from one table, and sometimes you'll hear a little bit from another table. That's how this works. One more thing I would like to share with the community is my challenge to you. I know some of you will try this method, and I ask that if you do, to be consistent. If you like it or want more information, reach out and comment on the video, or email me, Facebook me, whatever works for you. Just be patient. Maintain best practices. You would not want to use this technique on existing voice. It's only used to strip back layers of static and things that we can't hear to make them more intelligible. The next thing is, if we find free VST plugins that can replace Bias, Sound Soap, and Isotope, then that means everybody could do this. And everybody could do this if they had a computer that wasn't more than 4 or 5 years old. And if we test those and we share it with the community, then I would say that we have done the world a great service. And we would then watch the world change, because the perception of what spirit is, what it's like to communicate with them, to listen to them, to talk with them, to have that direct connection that you can hear with your ears and that you can feel with your heart, that's potential. This is Keith Clark from My Digital Medium. Thank you for watching the tutorial.